Video in our series in the iOS app development course. In previous videos, we're actually talking about a color picker app, and we've built certain aspects of the app. We're just going to be continuing in this particular video. So before I proceed with going to Xcode to continue the development of the app, I want to draw our attention to this. This is one of those properties that you're going to be seeing literally in the code, which is IB out, which actually means interface builder outlet. So the interface builder outlet is literally a reference to an object or user interface component, one of those components that you're going to see in the interface builder. So just think of it as a representation of that object or user interface in code form. So at the end of the day, you see a connection between the code and the component. So that's what establishes the connection between the physical and what you have, what's running in the background. And then for action, now when you want to trigger some kind of action on that component, right, what you use is IB action, which is interface builder action. So it's a function that is called when a user interaction occurs. So every time you want to do something to your user interface, right, how you call that action is through the IB action, and I'm going to show us how it's been used in the app in a minute. So I will go here. This is where we stopped with the code the last time we were talking, but notice I'm going to hover over. You see how I hover over this concentric circle, and you can see this property, this specific property here, right, is literally the under the hood connection to this, and the concentric circle here shows that there is a connection between this line of code and this UI component. So that's for IB outlet. Now I'm going to create a switch that can control what happens here. So it's introducing some kind of action, right, to this user interface, and that's where we go to create a switch. So I will start by clicking here and clicking switch, and then you drag the switch down here and try to align it horizontally and vertically at the middle. So we have that right now. So once you have that, the next thing you want to do, you can see it opens here. You can click all of this, but where you need to go click actually is here at the arrows, and you want to change this state. Right now the switch is turned on. You want to change it to off. So it's been turned off. You can see it's grayed out, right? So the next thing we want to do right now is to be able to create the IB action, so that we can associate this user interface with some kind of action, so that we can now control what happens to this user interface through that piece of code. So and to do that, you just click on the interface control and then drag. See where you drag it to, and you drop here, and then it opens up a connection dialog box. Once it opens up the connection dialog box, now what you want to do is to type the name of that particular action, which is what we are trying to do, which is like changing the switch. So changing the switch, like turning it on and off. So we can say something like switch changed. So that's what we have. And then we want to change the type to UI switch, and then click connect, and that's how you have have it here. All of a sudden you have this here. So what we want to do next is to type a piece of code that can make the user interface, which is the switch, do something. So one way we can do that is we can try to experiment with a situation where if we click the switch, right, the color in this user component or area changes. So to do that, we just type a piece of code that says color view dot background color equals to dot red. So if you run this line of code now, right, let's see what you're gonna see. It's built. Yep. So if we turn it on, all of a sudden it's red, but we turn it back, and then notice if we turn it back off, it doesn't change. And that makes sense because look at what's happening here. We have this function, and all we have told the function to do is anytime the switch is clicked, go red. So if you click it on, it goes red. If you click it off, it still goes red. So we have to figure out a way to tell to now decide to tell the switch, no, that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is if I turn you on, you go maybe red, and then I turn you off, and then you go maybe black or any other color. And how do you do that? Or the way you do that is to use something like an if else statement. If this happens, do this, else do that. So that's why we're going to say remove this piece of code here, and let me say just a minute, remove this piece of code, and let's put in something else. And we're going to type in something else, and we are going to say if sender dot. So this is a method that is, which is literally saying if the switch is on, do something, right? So we're gonna say if it's on, let's open, and then what do you want it to do? So we can type in this, right? Code view dot background. In other words, if it's on, turn to red. What if it's not on? Then we can say else, then open and close bracket again. Now we're going to tell it what to do. Instead of changing to red, we want you to go black, right? So we got this. So let's run it right now and see how the app behaves. So we turn it on, it's red. Turn it back, it's black. Turn it on, it's red. Turn it back, is black. Why is it behaving that way? Very simply, because we said if sender is on, do this, else, in other words, if it's off, go black. And that's how you're able to build that part of the code. So I hope you've been able to take out one or two things here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out in the comment section, or for those of you that are taking the class, to send me an email or have us discuss this in the class. Thank you again for listening. It's been a good one.